take the day off. Madueke's got it. West Ham, Fulham, let's go. And that's up until the next international break. If Saka's back, I don't want to see him play more than those games.
I hear it. I hope Saka is back though. I want to ask you this though. Like, obviously, it's a different universe for Mikel Arteta, really, because you've gone from for a number of years, the 11 picking itself, the bench kind of picking itself, or the players that come off the bench picking itself. Now you don't necessarily know who's going to start, what he's going to do. You know, an individual player might mean, like someone like Rice or Zubamendi who can play as a lone six. That might mean an Eze or Odegaard play in midfield that could drop out Rice. I guess what I'm going and leading on to is, do you feel like, because it's two different worlds, you've gone from having basically no options to many options? Do you feel that has any negatives, or is there anything for Arteta that he's going to have to learn and negotiate? For example, maybe not rushing back Bukayo Saka, maybe playing on Madueke's form and confidence and all these things, or even Saliba.
I think it's an adjustment, trying to figure out how to keep everyone happy. That is the best way to put it. It's not about because the players all have to like they are wanted, that they're being utilized, and that they're contributing. So just so they're all ready mentally, you have to give them sprinkles of opportunity here and there. And
True.
I think that's the main thing.
Fair.
Did I answer your question properly? I'm
Yeah.
kind of confused.
I just wanted to know where your mindset was.
Yeah, because everyone's thinking about the manager headache that he has. I think the biggest headache he has is he's a very personable person, and he wants everyone to feel like they're part of a team. And in order to keep everyone involved, how are you going to do that? Martinelli, who's a week in, week out starter now, coming off the bench for Eze, how is he going to be happy? You know how he's going to be happy? Starting against Port Vale and scoring a hat trick, maybe, or starting.
I look at it differently, Egal. But go on.
Or coming off the bench and making a difference in spots. Trossard, how does he keep him happy after getting a pay rise and being now like late option? You know what? Maybe you start him as striker versus Port Vale. Maybe you give him an opportunity off the bench when we're winning against Atletico Bilbao or whoever else it is. Who else am I looking at? Who's deep on the bench that would need to get game time? Norgard.
Potentially a Norgard.
Maybe you give Norgard 2 starts out of those 7 games, and that just satisfies him and his urge to be back in the team and playing. Because then he'll be like, you know what? If anything happens, I know how to play in this position now, and I'm ready.
I hear you, and I don't disagree. And obviously, Mikel Arteta is going to have to keep people fit and happy and whatnot. And there's also that limit. But at the same time, I think it's a fallacy. I don't think Arteta can keep him. I don't think any big club can keep anyone fit, because everybody wants to play all minutes of all games. And if I'm honest, pardon my language, Egal, fuck anyone's happiness. If you want to be happy, make sure Mikel Arteta can't leave you out the team. I quote unquote, when I say strongest, I don't mean the strongest 11 on paper, but the strongest team needs to go out there. I don't want people getting minutes just because you're unhappy, starting against this team for no reason. It's the best thing tactically. But I would say,
I got one more thing. If everyone wants to be happy, let's just win the trophy. We win
that
the league
as well, which is the main thing. That's the main thing. And at the end of the day,
everyone's going to be happy.
If you're someone like Martinelli, you at the end of the day, and I'm a big fan of Martinelli, you have not taken your chance. If you was playing amazing at left wing, I might not want a left winger at this football club. Maybe the coach's staff didn't. So if you're not happy, go and grab a spot. What I would say is the only thing I'm interested in Mikel Arteta is on occasion doing things different. Like, for example, you look at Merino in midfield. That might be a sure bet. It might be a strong option. But just in terms of, because I do think it's kind of predictable what we do at times, maybe you could have went with, against Liverpool, a Wanyeri and Eze. Now, I'm not getting at the Liverpool game. It's neither here nor there. But that's the only thing I'm interested in, the depth. Are we going to do different things? Are we going to box cleverly? If anyone's not happy, you know where the exit door is. I'm not being funny. They're all grown men. Of course, I would love to see someone like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Wanyeri and Dauman and all those play. But as you said, we need to win trophies. We cannot.
You said we're predictable.
We're kind of predictable. We're predictable in certain things that we do.
From the outside looking in, Arsenal is probably the least predictable team in the league. No, hear me out. With the amount of different personnel we have and the amount of different ways that we utilize those personnel, we don't play the same way. And every single year Arteta's been here, we've changed the game to a certain level. The person who's
actually we have developed, but the core principles
we're looking at it from an Arsenal fan perspective. We're looking at it from an Arsenal fan perspective.
I'm looking at it from I'm a fan of football first.
No, hear me out. take yourself out from being an Arsenal fan for a second and just
I
look at
have
everything.
taken myself out like I always do. Why do you think I'm saying what I'm saying? Why do you think I watch
Okay,
every game twice?
look at
I'm not
Una
talking out
Emery's
my ass here, girl.
look at Una Emery's Aston Villa 3 years ago and now. The exact same style of play, the
Well, then
exact same
I hear you,
patterns,
but what
everything.
Villa's doing is irrelevant.
No, but it's crucial because when an opponent actually says a team is predictable, a team plays the same way, I would say Arsenal have evolved so many times that you cannot say we've played the same way. We've not. You
Of
cannot say
course, in
we.
life you have to evolve. We do play the same way. Of course, individual things are going to be a bit different, but the core principles, you can go even back to the Liverpool
When our
game where
opponents see us, they don't see us
as if
as
I may, even when Slot said when Marino's going to be on the pitch, certain things we're going to do. Even when he spoke after the game, when he talked about changing Gravenberch's role, we are predictable. I don't even mean that in a disingenuous way. We've earned. I say this on my platform all the time. We've earned that right. If you want to be great defensively, mid blocks, low blocks, inverted left backs, the way we play out from the back, shifting into a back three, doing two banks of four, the positions Odegaard takes up, you earn that right. That's what's got us to this place. That does not need to be eradicated. That needs to stay. My thing is, you need to sprinkle some unpredictability. I'm not saying to necessarily do this, but maybe Marino starting randomly, maybe a bit of interchanging movement, maybe changing the midfield on occasion, more in-game, where you might have Zubamendi by himself and you've got, I don't know, Eze and Odegaard or Wanyeri in the mix. That's the little sprinkle of unpredictability I'm referring to, because I do think that is what we're missing. Arteta has even said we need to be a bit more unpredictable, which is why when you look at Eze and Madueke's comments, when the gaffer has said, I think he said something along the lines against Forest about how he
the
wants us to get
freedom.
at our players and whatnot. Fair enough, because people say Arteta is negative and he doesn't want to attack and things like that. Now you can see those comments and say, "Wow, okay." Eze and Madueke said the manager said go and attack and go create. They created. Martinelli and Trossard struggled with that. There's got to be an issue. So that's what I'm referring to, because people know we're going to do low blocks. We're going to be set pieces. We're going, and I don't. One thing that pees me off is people getting at our U-shaped football. Of course, I want to see us move the ball quicker. Of course, I want to see different ways. But you go and listen to Mark Noble, who's actually a coach. He speaks about why the bigger teams do this. They exhaust you and exhaust you. So, for example, I don't want to see that go anywhere. But then there has to be another side to it where maybe we could be a bit more direct. Maybe we could invert off the left. There's just, I would say, out of 100%, it's probably about 8% randomness I need, but that will happen with Mikel Arteta. Like, yes, we've evolved. We've got under him. We've gone from playing good football, which in hindsight, someone like Martinelli, you probably were never that good. It's just the system was getting something out of you. We've obviously become a very good defensive side. We're obviously very good from set pieces. So, yeah, man, like, there's a long way to go, but it's all good. And that actually leads me to ask you this, people. Well,
Let
you
me
lot in the
just
chat,
go back to
Egal.
this.
Go on.
When I say predictability, I don't
Predictability is
obviously.
not a bad thing. It's football. That's
Yeah,
what's got Arteta good at what he's doing. But we are
okay.
predictable.
When our opponent's preparing for us, I don't think every opponent can expect the same things from Arsenal every week. There's
But
gonna
there's
be
core principles that are always going to remain the same.
no, but that's our style. Our style of play is obviously can say predictable. Same with Pep Guardiola. Same with any manager. You know, Barcelona's going to play a high line.
That's
You
the
know,
point.
Barcelona's going to run at you. Everyone
You
has a
might change
level of
something
style.
individually, but the core principles are going to be the same. It's predictable. These managers are paid to predict these things. That's why Mikel Arteta is so good. That's why they call him a defensive manager. Why? Because he sets us up when we lose that ball. How quick and how high can we win it back? What positions are we going to be in so we don't get exploited? So
No,
yeah,
but are
there's
we
going to be,
confusing?
against Liverpool, he might say Madueke, we're playing a lot more direct. Raya hit him, or against Nottingham Forest, we might have a bit more patient build up. But the core principles are going to remain,
But
whatever
are
that's
we
from Mikel Arteta, etc. So
okay?
we
Just
are predictable. That's not even here to be good or bad.
maybe you can clarify this for me. Am I confusing style with unpredictability? Because I think if you have a style of play, then are you predictable?
Yeah, you can have a style of play and be predictable. We knew what, but La Masia, well, not La Masia, sorry, Barcelona's side is going to be. It's just tiki taka mashes up everyone. This is my point. I don't have a problem with being unpredictable. It's just if I use the Liverpool game, for example, again, it's here and God. Unpopular opinion, we're one of the better teams in the Prem, one of the best teams in Europe. It's probably like a handful of games that sum up our season when we look back in hindsight, right? So like stay with me. Forget the fact that it was Liverpool. It's neither here nor there. When I look at how we started the game in terms of the personnel, when certain changes were made, and actually the last 15 minutes, the 15 minutes at halftime going into the first 20 against Liverpool, it's these kind of moments where I need to see something different from Mikel Arteta, because you go and watch the game again. In build-up play, they changed where Gravenberch was. Obviously, they betted on Szoboszlai going a bit further forward. You then saw Curtis Jones coming up, and it made me think, how much confidence did Arne Slot have in doing that, knowing that Mikel Arteta isn't going to massively deviate from what he's doing? That is why I said, just as an example, I'm not saying I want to see it, but for Mikel Arteta, could you play Eze in the 10? Could you go with Wanyeri? Could you do something differently just to keep opponents guessing? Because this has got us to this realm now. If we want to get somewhere we ain't been, we're going to have to do certain things that we haven't. And that's where I look at it from a positive point of view, because I'm a bit of a hypocrite, because as you can you see my screen?
No, I can. You can. I
You
was
can
just
see
gonna
my
say,
screen. Yeah, but as I was saying, yeah, what? I want us to score
my
more
final
goals, be
point
more
was
attacking. We've got 9 goals. So the
my
only way
point.
is that we ain't
My
created enough. And
I
that's our
agree.
stats. So we can go somewhere.
I agree, but I also want to say the reason why we are unpredictable is because we can go into a big game and play attacking football against you and beat you like we did Liverpool 3-1, or we can play defensive and beat you like we did Man City 1-0 at the Emirates. So we have multiple different ways to play against you,
As we
which you
should. We're a
don't
top
know
6
how we're
side.
gonna which you don't know how we're going to play against you. So I do think we're more unpredictable than people think we are. Yes, in
I
the
hear that.
attack, we might have been predictable, but I do think that was also down to the lack of quality from Martinelli in the final third, the lack of quality from some of these other players in the final third. And now that we have better players in the final third, you're not going to see the same level of predictability because of the quality. I don't think it's down to the manager all the time. Sometimes your tools are not good enough to give you all the production that you need in many
I
different
think we're
ways.
at that stage now where you've bought the tools now, or you've kept the tools. So
I
it has
agree.
to be
I
on
agree.
Arteta. Like
But we're
that's
speaking about the
redundant
past,
now.
Deluded. When we talk about
I
predictability, we're
didn't.
speaking
You
about the
mentioned
past.
that, I mentioned, if you're talking about the past, I mentioned our last game against Liverpool. I actually mentioned moving forward and getting and evolving and getting into a realm. I didn't mention the past. You did. Like,
I got into defensive mode, but that's the reality. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I feel
low
like
and deep block.
I feel like
Egal.
I feel like I feel like when people speak about Arteta's predictability and rigid system, they're actually speaking about Unai Emery, who some people prop up.
Respectfully to Emery, fuck Emery, you're not at the football club no more. I don't even need to hear about his name. Like, this
Yeah,
is the
but I'm
get
gonna
button
continue
thing.
to
He's not.
use him as a stick to beat people with.
And then what they can't now, because out of the 7 teams in the 7 leagues or something, Aston Villa ain't scored. So again, I know people will look at Ollie Watkins. That is something, or there might be some context behind it, but that's something that is Emre's fault. How have you not scored? Regardless, how have you not scored? But then that brings me to talking about the Premier League again. Now, as I was referring to, I personally don't think we're creating enough chances. I think we've shown some attacking play in stages, mainly at the Emirates. I don't really think there was anything against Liverpool. Fair enough, it took a wonder goal. We did what we needed to do against United, first game of the season. Leeds, as mad as it is, we scored 5 goals. I think those came in patches. And I think it was a good performance against Forest, but I think creating more chances has to happen. It's only 4 games in, so I'm not expecting nothing. But we put 5 against Leeds. We scored 3 against Forest. We've only struggled to score in 1 game. We've kept three clean sheets, conceded 1 goal. Obviously, that was a screamer. Scored 9 goals. And this is on the backdrop of what we've been talking about probably in the first 10 minutes about injuries. So there's a base level. It's not perfect. It could be better, but it could certainly be a lot worse. So we
Can
should
we
be filled with
acknowledge?
confidence. But
Can we
then,
acknowledge we had the
go on.
second hardest start in the Premier League, and we're
Say that
currently
again.
we had the second hardest start in the Premier League. We've gone to Anfield away, Manchester United away, and yes, we played Leeds and Nottingham Forest. But overall, I'm happy with those first 4 games. Just maybe the Liverpool game, I'm not happy with, but that's only because Szoboszlai scored a screamer. Overall, Deluded, I don't think we played relatively bad, and I don't think we played amazing in any of those games. It's early in the season, growing pains. You get used to how to play with each other, but think about it. Our front three against Nottingham Forest never kicked the ball with each other once.
Never
So
said what?
Gyökeres, Eze, and Madueke weren't on Arsenal's team last year. Zubimendi wasn't in Arsenal's team last year. Mosquera wasn't on Arsenal's team last year. 5 out of our 11 starters didn't even kick a ball for us last season. So for us to embed them in game week four, and get a win of that fashion with no Havertz, no Saliba, no Saka, I kind of feel like we're overlooking that.
I'm not overlooking it, to be fair. Like, big them up for that. But at the end of the day, you lot have showed me you can do this before. I don't think you're wrong, but some of our best results across the last 2 seasons have been accomplished without our strongest team. We're a good team. We want to be a great team. Great teams do that. We have to do that. And you are right in our start of the season. And you are right in that I'm not expecting it to be amazing and things, which is why I've said to you before, if I'm still having these concerns, especially in the final third, game week 10, 11, 12, 13, this is where I get a bit more critical. But this is what we need to do, really and truly. It's nice to see people stepping up. It's pressure for spaces, talking about depth. I wish when we speak about depth again, I'd speak about this way in that, who is Arteta going to have in the squad? Who's going to be in the 11? Is he going to get game times? Is this one going to leave? Because that assumes everyone's fit. It's more of a negative, but it's a necessity in that obviously players, drop out like flies. We've got a lot of players injured and we're able to shoulder the burden. There might be times when we say it, and I want to be very respectful and pick my words wisely, but not once have we gone raw, like we missed Saliba there or we missed Saka there. There's obviously going to be times we're going to say that, but we're moving. And what I would say as well for the fixture comment you made, and you're right, but I'd rather the first 6 games, if we got those exact 6 games that we've had up until this point now versus in May, I'd rather it now. I do believe out of the couple of times we played Liverpool, and ironically, the one time we lost at Anfield in the league, I think they were the most beatable, but it's neither here nor there, man. We'll just catch them on the rebound. But we are second with 9 points. Liverpool 12 from 12. They keep getting the rub of the green, which brings me to this. How do these man keep doing it, man? Like, seriously, Bournemouth, obviously Newcastle. We know how Szoboszlai did it, and then Salah. Like, how? Like,
it's
how?
very simple.
Is it gonna stop?
Chiesa was a substitution. Rio was a substitution. Szoboszlai was a tactical tweak, and the substitution for Frimpong won them the penalty. Arne Slot's really good at substitutions. As much as I want to hate on them, as much as I want to hate on them and say, "Oh, Liverpool are lucky," in one breath they are, in another breath, Arne Slot finds solutions even in the depth, and you got to get that down to the manager being.
At times, man.
You got to, as much as we want to hate on Liverpool fans won't see me praising them, but Arne Slot is one of the best managers in the world at finding a solution when things are going wrong. And as much as we want to say this is unsustainable, yeah, eventually they have to start killing teams off. But for now, early in the season, when everyone's struggling to find a way to win 4 games in a row, even in this fashion, credit to them. But if they continue to do this for 38 games, it's not sustainable. But if they, after game week 5, 6, if they go back to blowing teams out, winning 4-5-0, then yeah, they're gonna be able to be up there. And this is why when I said to everybody, we can only control what we do. We can't really. We can watch their games and get frustrated when they win.
You can hate watch and get vexed. Yeah,
that's really all it is. I tune into that game knowing they're gonna win, and if they win in the 95th minute, well, I expected them to win, but it's just disappointing the fashion in which they're winning, because it's demoralizing to other people watching them to see if they're gonna drop points. But this is what Man City did for years. They've seen this. They've been through this, and
not to this level, but we've done that on occasion as well. Nelson comes to mind, a couple of late winners.
No, but you know what it is? We don't have the right to do that and still be praised because we've not won the league.
I don't want any praise for it. This is what good teams do. Honest to God, I don't want no praise, no validation from it. As you're alluding to, big up Liverpool, because if you're a Liverpool fan, the players and Arne Slot, you always want the 3 points first in it. 12 from 12 is superb. And obviously, they can only get better because they know over 90 minutes, they might not be playing the best way and whatnot. But it's a results-driven business, and these are the fine margins. You might not win a league in September, but if, God forbid, because I'm an Arsenal fan, if they go and win the Premier League, these are the kind of games that you might quote unquote look back on, and we do the ifs and buts thing. This is why I'm not interested in what Arsenal are good at. Take the good and make it great. The evident areas of improvement, the unpredictability, the game management, all of the things that we won't see until the season plays out. This is why I'm saying these things, because again, it's about 3, 4, 5 games in the Premier League that probably sum up if we win the title or not. And also, I would say it's one thing Liverpool dropping points, which they haven't done so far. Last season, we weren't quite able to make the ground, in which, whatever way, whether it's Arteta, the players, injuries, Edu, whatever happened, we can only deal with what's in front of us. I do want to ask you as well, yeah, because
by the way, we've played better than them to start the season.
Boy, they got more points than us, man. You're not wrong, but it takes me back. You're definitely not wrong, but it doesn't. It takes me back to the year where people said Arsenal were the best team in the league.
We're always judging ourselves from our own situation, but in actual reality, look at their performances versus Bournemouth defensively, Newcastle defensively,
Arsenal 100%,
Arsenal attacking wise, and Burnley attacking wise. even though they're the Premier League champions and they've signed all these players, they have just as many concerns as us, and they still
100%.
haven't,
There's
and
chinks in the armor.
they still haven't clicked. So you can say they can get better, but at the same time, they haven't actually embedded their new players in well enough yet for them to hit the ground running.
But they have 12 points though. That's my thing. Like that's where we're at. It's the points on the board. Like, and this is why I don't feel when you're talking. Well, to be honest, there's probably two teams you could say get relegated. But when you're talking about Premier League, top 4, top 6, top 10, all of those things, it's far too early to draw conclusions. I don't know for the playing well comment though, Egal, I must admit. But I wanted to ask you this. Obviously, one thing you're right about in that, and Liverpool know this in that. This ain't sustainable. You've done it for 4 games. You can't always get last minute winners. So if we assume that maybe if the performances correlate with the results, a bit like maybe we could have drawn against United, do you have confidence that we'll be there to make up the ground? Because that is something that was jarring at Arsenal last season. And that it's one thing them dropping points. You kind of have to, like you said earlier, you have to control what you can control and do your job.
Bro, I don't think we're going to draw as many games now that we have.
Hopefully not 14.
Now that we have a finisher in Gyökeres, you give him a chance, he's going to finish. Also, we have creators on the pitch from multiple areas. Eze can create. You have Odegaard who can create. You have Ethan who can create. You have, Zubimendi who can do stuff. You have Saka. You have Madueke.
You've got an Italian ball in a China shop, Calafiori.
You have Calafiori who can pick out a pass from distance. You have Gabriel now adding the ball playing side to his game more than ever before. So I'm looking at this team and I'm saying there's many ways we can hurt you. It's just you give us a chance, you're finished. Before you give us a chance, we need 6, we need 7. And Donnarumma is going to be the perfect example of this because he can save 3 to 4 goals. Can we create another 2 to 3 more to get that to finish them off? And I think that's where it's going to be. Our biggest test so far has been Liverpool. We failed it. The next biggest test is Man City at home. This is going to show you what I mean about which direction we're headed in.
I'll know where we're going. For me, 10, 11, 12 games into the season. Right now, I'm at the point where just get points on the board. Of course, you get 3 points, you're happy as Larry, but you do need to look at the performance. But you just at this moment in time, at least until game week 10, just get points on the board, man.
I don't really trust people's opinion on the performance anymore. I don't, because they remove the context of injuries. They remove the context of player of the personnel not being of the same standard, and they remove the context of key individuals that are
in terms of the same standard. What do you mean by that?
No, because I've seen people last season judging Arsenal's whole existence on a period of which Saka was injured, Martinelli was injured, and Havertz was injured, and said, "Yeah, Arsenal's attack is shit. We have a good team, but our attack is the worst in the league."
And I can't like you mentioned we can't go back in time. I'm not saying you're wrong, but last season is irrelevant.
No, but when we speak,
and the club have to hold that because they didn't sign what they needed to sign.
Majority of the times when we're speaking about stuff, we're speaking about it in the context of the past and how it's going to improve in the future. But when we're speaking about Arsenal's attacking concerns, I feel like majority of the Arsenal attacking concerns were brought to light in that period of time when we had the most injuries, when we had to find solutions, when Mikel Moreno was our striker, when Havertz was injured. I don't think people were speaking about our issues attacking wise first couple games of the season as much as they were in that part. And yes, they were speaking about us not playing well to start the season every year since the 2022-2023 season. But that's really because teams don't have to come to our ground playing for the 3 points. They come to our ground just trying to keep it close.
And we've learned how we know that we need to learn how to break down low blocks. For me, football at times is a percentages game. You create more chances, you're more likely to score more goals. I think that's something, because I do think if there's one area I'm not 100% convinced with Mikel Arteta, it is in our attacking third. Yes, we score a bunch of goals.
Is that his fault?
Of course it's your fault. You're the manager. Of course it is. You have to.
No.
What are you telling me? What?
I'm saying some of these things that we stick Arteta for, give him stick for. I think the Nani Madueke interview perfectly explains that sometimes it's not about the manager playing a rigid system and holding the players back from playing the best to their ability. Maybe it's just those players are not capable of doing what they want, what we want them to do.
But Egal, I hear that. I hear that, but for me, I'm past the point of that. Like, I'm past the point of that. If Mikel Arteta took the job yesterday, then fair play. You've been in the role for a while, and it's not just him; it's everybody. Like I said, I'm happy with the recruitment we've got now. Madueke, we're gonna get onto him, but Madueke showing he can be a good option. We're static around Eze and Gyökeres. You are, whatever you signed is what you've got. Last summer, you didn't do what you needed to do as a club. You needed to hold that. The only people I'm sorry for is the players that were at the club and the fans. This year, God forbid, but if you do have those injuries, now I entertain unluckiness and whatnot. And if I'm honest with you, at some point, Arteta's had Trossard, had Martinelli, had all of these guys playing great football. Of course, it's not always on the manager, and the player has to take responsibility. And as I was referring to, we are one of the top goal scorers. We and all of those kind of things, but we're not up there for open play